Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Work Study. I know, I know. You probably have so many questions. Where you been? What's going on? Who is this beautiful woman on the screen if you're watching? And lucky for you, I have answers to all of those questions. Where have I been? Working. Of course. Of course. But, work study is a very important space for me and for my community of creative thinkers and doers to you know, figure out in real time how to build these creative businesses. A lot of us are doing things and building things that have never been built before. And it isn't to say that creative businesses have never existed, but it is to say that a lot of us are building creative businesses within specific niches that we haven't seen. Or, maybe we're doing it and bootstrapping it with our own dollars and not being backed by wealthy husbands and companies and things of that nature. So, this new iteration of work study, I plan on bringing a lot of my creative friends to talk about their work, their creative processes, and really drilling down on how they have built their businesses. So, today I have one of my lovely friends, one of the most talented, thoughtful, brilliant, creative people that I actually know, and that's no gas because she's sitting across the camera lens from me. That's actually a fact. A little bit about her. Amarie is a writer, a curator, a DJ. You still be DJing? We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. And the founder of the Reading Room, which is an independent reference library based in Houston, Texas, with more than 700 books devoted to Black art, culture, politics, and history. Very important work that she's doing, not only for her city, but for all of us. So, with all of that being said, I'll throw it over to her to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about who she is, what she does, and why she does it.
This introduction is too much. I'm already about to start crying on
Oh
here.
my God, don't start crying because then I'm gonna start crying and we just gonna be on here crying.
Oh my God. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so in awe of you all the time. Your work ethic is beyond, and
Stop it.
the world has so much to learn from you, friend.
Oh,
Serious.
stop,
Serious.
I'll
Serious.
cry. It's too early. We only a minute
I'm
in,
sorry. I'm
girl.
sorry.
Chill
I'm
out.
sorry. Just water sign shit. I had to get that
Oh
out.
my God.
I think you nailed it. I'm Amari. I identify primarily as a writer, but also a cultural worker. So there's all these other hats that I can wear that kind of fit under that umbrella. And I built a library for Black art and culture. That's what I do. Who I am and what I do. Why I do it. I was thinking about this. Why do I do what I do? I've always loved art. I really love Black people. I grew up, born and raised in Houston, and I have so much pride around being a Southerner. Um, and this kind of process growing up has been like retracing my steps and filling in gaps in my own knowledge. And so my love for art, my love for Black people, my love for books kind of came together into this one thing. And that's what I do. The reading room is my life's work.
Yo, that man, I was having a conversation with Fran, our lovely friend Francine, another
Genius.
brilliant human being. Like what?
Genius.
And I think we're all collectively in that era of our careers where the things that we're building and doing are our life's work. It's not
Yep.
like, oh, this is a fun, cute little project for now, and maybe I'll pick it up and put it down. And there's seasons in your life for that. But I do believe that you are for sure living and walking in your life's purpose, whether or not you feel that way every day. It is to be said that I do feel that deeply.
Yeah.
Um, Talk to me about what prompted you to move back to Houston. I know you've lived in
Mhm.
many places. You obviously we'll talk about how you and I connected and where you were in your career then, but talk to me about what brought you back home to
Mm.
Houston.
Well, I was 18 when I left, and prior to then, I spent almost every year of my teenage life looking toward New York because that's what I saw
Mm,
on TV as like the place of possibility.
Yeah.
And so I was very eager to get out of my city. I didn't think I appreciated where I was from growing up. It was only after I left that things started to kind of make sense. And I was working, so I studied art history. I minored in sociology and I began to work in museums in the curatorial field. And so when I was coming into the field, this is like around 2015, 2016. So, there's Black Lives Matter, everybody's getting shot up by the police. And something that happened as a result of that was that Black artists started to get more opportunity to
Funding.
show their
Yeah.
work, way more funding, way more attention. And so, sort of an additional effect was like, these philanthropic organizations started asking the question, like, how do we get more Black people in curatorial positions in museums to kind of like
Mm.
support some of this work and bring Black artists to the forefront? Um, I mean, that was like, okay, what do you mean hire people? What are you talking about?
Hire them. Yeah, it feels very simple. How do
Right.
you
I
get
don't
them there? You bring
understand
them
why this
there.
is a whole thing, but I came into the field as an undergraduate in one of those programs that was sort of dedicated to righting that wrong. And I was exposed to a lot of like best practice in institutions, but also a lot of fucking racism and
Mm.
prejudice and isolation. And for the time in from undergrad when I was working as a fellow to the time that I graduated and kind of moved around Chicago and New York, I was just like, this is not the kind of work that I want to be doing. Like, I love
Yeah.
people more than I love art. Like, I love art,
Mm.
but I love people more. And so, what can I do to shift the priority? Something that was, I think, the kind of experience that radicalized me and really forced me to want to come home was that in 2020, during the pandemic, I was working at an institution, um, and all of the museums were kind of putting out statements in solidarity with Black life and like, we want to do better and we want to change
Of course.
we're with y'all, Black box. And the institution I was working at serves Black artists primarily. Like, that's the whole mission. And I was like, well, we could still be doing more,
Yeah.
right? And the answer that I kind of got from leadership was like, we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. And I didn't really understand that at the time. I was like, we could be sharing mutual aid. We could be sharing
Sure.
like fundraisers. People are getting arrested. Like, people are literally dying. And we're not doing anything to show our solidarity outside of saying like, well, we've been doing this. Like, it wasn't enough. And so that was the nail in the coffin. I feel like I had worked my entire life to get to that moment, to make it to
Yeah.
an institution like that. And I was just deeply disillusioned and discouraged around like the limitations of what institutions can really do. And like, the fact of the matter is that institutions are made up of people.
Right.
So it's people that are deciding what they want to do and what they don't want to do. And I wasn't having that. And so I was like, my spirit was being called back home.
Mm.
And I was kind of unwell in that position that I was working in. And I was like, I'm ready to go. It's been 7 years. Seven
Yeah.
is one of my favorite numbers. It was time to get on. So I got
Yeah.
on and I got back home.
Now, what did it feel like when you returned home? Because obviously, when you've been away from home for an extended period of time, and I'm always in admiration of people who do that, because as someone who's born and raised in New York, it's kind of hard to leave New York and try to
Yeah.
do things elsewhere, because you're like, this is kind of the epicenter of things. So I
Yeah.
admire folks that leave and come back. What did it feel like to come back to Houston, and what did you feel like was missing in this space at that
Yeah.
time?
This is like, I got back in 2021, early 2021. And the initial feeling was relief
Yeah.
because I was just so happy. Like, New York is not a place that'll let you move easily.
Absolutely not.
So when you get out there, you better be ready to stay.
A hundred
So I
percent.
feel like I was fighting tooth and nail to like pack my things and get them home and whatnot.
Yeah.
So when I finally made it here, I felt like I could breathe because I could afford to have my own apartment by myself, paying
Yeah.
the same amount, no less, right, of rent that I was when I was
With
living in New York.
roommates. Yeah.
Roommate.
Yeah. Oh my
I was
God,
like,
child.
what can I get in Houston for this amount? So like, spatially I felt relieved, but I also felt a little bit estranged because
Mm.
I hadn't spent any of my adult life living here. And so it felt very unfamiliar in some ways.
And at this
Um,
time, you were what, in your early 20s?
yeah, I was about to turn 25.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, my brain is almost fully developed. Let's get it. Like, what can I do? How can I be useful? Um, and I wasn't exactly sure whether or not I'd be able to lead the life that I have now.
Yeah.
Back then,
And
everything was
look at
foreign.
that. Look,
You
look,
know what I
look at where you're
mean?
at.
Hello? Like I didn't
Five
have
years later.
examples of like people who could like really survive doing what they wanted to do
Yeah.
in life. And so to be here now is like, oh, of course. If not here, then where else?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to hear you talk about Houston and how important it is to who you are because, you know, we met in a very bizarre isn't the word. It's like a God, like it was God. It
Absolutely.
had to have been source God, whomever you believe in. At
Hmm.
the time, I was working at Spotify
Hmm.
on the marketing team, and we were doing a campaign around music, Black music specifically, in Texas. So we had a huge campaign. Part of the campaign included doing a sit down dinner with Mona Leo and Tizo Touchdown and all of the Texan greats. And as an extension of this particular campaign, in every city that we went to, and this is early in my time at Spotify, right? Like at the time, Francine was really running point on all of these things, and I was just coming in with fresh eyes and ears and trying to bring a little something extra to the campaigns. And a part of these regional campaigns was partnering with party groups on the ground to celebrate Black music, sponsor a party, do a huge activation, and obviously show up as Spotify in those spaces. And
Hmm.
so at the time, people kind of knew me as the outside girl, party girl. I think to an extent, people still feel that way because it's true, like I tell this story all the time. Like my parents discovered that they were having a child at a show at SOBs in New York City. So
Oh my
that
God.
if that is not
It's in you.
hello, it's in me, not on me. And I remember I was sitting in my apartment in Flatbush and I was watching a boiler room set, and it was a bunch of female DJs, and I just so happened to like skim through it. It was just playing in the background. I was doing work from home, and I saw this Black girl with braids spinning, and I'm like, who is this girl? Like she's tight. Like, and then I do my digging, and I'm like, oh crap, she's from Texas. Like this would be dope. I wonder like if she would be able to connect me with party groups that she rocks with and what have you. And then I click in a little further and I find out that she has her own party series called Physical Therapy. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. I went to Fran and I was like, okay, I found the party group that we finna sponsor. We finna give them a bag and we finna do this, and that. And that's how I connected with you. And at the time, I didn't even realize like you had all these other things, right? Because you were working at Houstonia Mag, which I think
Mhm.
they might have covered the reading room at this point, right?
Yeah, they
Which is
have.
insane. At the time, you were you were working at Houstonia Mag as an editor, and I was like, okay, cool. She's tapped into culture, like all of the things, and we kind of gave you the bag and let you run the party how you wanted to run the party, and that's how we met. I think what I want to talk to you about is that particular period of your life, because at that time, I think shortly after our partnership, you were transitioning out of your role at Houstonia Mag, and you were kind of, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the DJ scene and the party scene, has changed quite
Hmm.
a bit post COVID.
Totally.
And I think you had always said that like you wanted to start a library. It was something that you were very passionate about. And
Mhm.
although like, the party shit is the get money shit, right? Like you can go do a gig, get a couple $100 if you're consistent and you're known in whatever city, especially a city like Houston where nightlife is such an integral part of culture. You can
Mhm.
really, hang your hat on that, but it was clear that that wasn't all that you wanted to do. So talk to me about that particular period of your life as you were transitioning out of, curating parties and really trying to figure out how you're going to build the reading room before you even knew what the reading room was going to be for real.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I get emotional every single time I think
Stop.
about how we met. No, I'm serious.
Oh my God.
Serious.
It's crazy. Like it was
Literally,
crazy.
God, it was
Like a
literally,
random day in my apartment on YouTube. Like,
and it's one of those moments that's like a constant reminder that every single thing in your life is like working in your favor. You know what I mean?
100%.
Every single
100%.
thing, every gig, the introduction to, Jody, which led to the boiler room, which
Yes.
led to every single thing in your life is like working with you, not against you.
Yes. And you
Um,
never see it in the moment. And I
mm-mm.
tell all creative people this too, and tell ourselves this. You tell me this all the time. I tell you this. Like, you're not gonna know. It's not gonna feel like anything until it feel like something,
Exactly.
and then it's everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I got the idea for the reading room a month after I started my job at Houstonia in 2021. I was walking through Houston. I was also like a month and a half into PT, had just started that, got the invitation to start a party.
Wow, it was new.
It was very fresh. It was very,
Whoa.
very fresh. The job was fresh. The party was fresh. Everything. I was walking by this old American Apparel storefront. It was,
Mm.
it used to have American Apparel in it. RIP. Not really, but I looked through the window and I was like, what could I do if I had this space? And I kind of just like locked that in my mind. I was also early in the process of adjusting to that job, and I'm not gonna hold you, I kind of hated it
Yeah,
because I just didn't like the how quickly you had to write, and writing is so sacred
it's
to me.
hard. Yes, and it's
It's
hard to do that.
so
It's very
hard.
hard.
It's
Yeah.
so hard to do it, but I wanted that check, so I showed up for my
Hello.
job as much as I could. And in 2022, I was Little Miss DJ. It was like PT was up. Do you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yes.
I was getting booked left and right. And I was approaching, I did the boiler room in May 22. The 1 year anniversary for PT was in June.
Wow.
And the editor in chief that was working at Houstonia that hired me, she ended up transitioning out of her role and she left. And
Mm.
so I knew that HR was going to be on everybody that she brought in.
Sure.
Um, and so I was kind of quietly quitting that summer, but I was also lit. Like PT went viral on TikTok in July.
Yep. I
Renaissance
remember
came
that.
out at the end of July, and the August
Yes.
party was lit. I had to turn 200 people away
Wow.
because we didn't have enough space in the venue. And
Wow.
by the time September rolled around, I sat down and I started to make a plan to leave Houstonia.
Now,
And a
what
few,
walk me through before and I don't want to skip over this piece.
yeah.
When you sat down to make this plan,
Mhm.
what was on this piece of paper, on the document, or the computer? What were some of the things you were thinking about?
Yeah, I knew that I needed to save as much money as possible, like consciously save as much as possible. So I was working to cut down my monthly expenses. And I had just got called into HR, which is
Mm.
probably what forced me to sit down and make that plan to leave because either they were going to fire me, which at the time I could never imagine because how
Hello.
fire me? What you talking about? Or I was gonna leave, and so I wanted to like leave on my own whim. Anyway, so I was trying to cut back my expenses so that I could maximize the money that I was making. I also was trying to find next steps with PT and how to continue to do the party with integrity, but also find additional ways to like enhance the experience and also justify raising the cost potentially. And we were growing out of the venue that we were in. So the tensions were kind of high, and I knew I needed to make a transition, and I was preparing for that as well. And so I was like, I want to come back to the reading room as an idea. I need to give myself X amount of time to do it. And so February 2023, I'm ready
Mm.
to roll. I'm ready to quit my job. I'm ready to say, okay, I can do this and like take this idea to the next level. I didn't make it to February.
Mm.
3 days before PT Spotify, I got let go. It
Wow.
was the
Three
week
days.
of the party. It was the week of the party.
Oh my God. I don't think I knew that. I don't know if I knew that timeline was so
I was just
close.
trying to keep it together. I didn't want
Oh
to
my
panic y'all, so I didn't say
gosh.
anything, but I literally got called into HR 3 days before the party. And they said, you're toast. Pack it up.
Crazy. And
And I
what
said,
were you feeling in that moment? Because right, you kind of had an inkling that this was going to happen, and you were trying to be out anyway. So,
right.
did it still feel crazy?
It feels so crazy because
Yeah. Because
dare
I'm not gonna
they?
pay my bills. And who are y'all firing? Who are you feeling like?
Who are you firing? It was really, it was like an ego thing more than anything.
Yes.
Who are y'all
Yes.
firing? And just like, am I that bad that you would let me go?
Yeah.
All the work that I've done to like document and uplift the people, the brilliant, brilliant people in the city. Finally,
Yes.
there's a publication that people can look to because there's a voice that wants to amplify what's going on. You don't think that's valuable enough to keep me? Are you
Yeah.
crazy? So
Yeah.
I was really shocked and appalled, to be honest with you. But I was relieved by the time we made it through the party. Um, I was relieved. I got my little 1 month severance, and I was like, you know what? Really, I came up. It's time to do whatever I want.
Hello.
You know what I'm saying? I was a little afraid initially because I was like, I have therapy that I have to pay for. I have, you know what I mean, my
Yeah, of
rent.
course.
But I was so relieved. Whoever the HR lady was at the time, she knew I didn't want to be there,
Yeah.
and she said as much. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, no, I want my job. I want my
Of course,
job.
because who's gonna
You
say
gotta,
no
who's
to a
gonna say
check? Yeah.
hello? So
Yeah.
by the time that, I think it came to a good end, I realized something that eased me in my anxiety was that like I had a plan already. I had a
Yeah.
plan to leave. It just didn't happen when I thought it was, but at least I had the plan. So now it's time to put it in action.
Yeah.
And so instead of February 23 being when I would quit the job and start working toward the reading room, February 23 was when I launched the reading room.
And remind me the timeline of you got let go in what, November?
November 2022. I got
And
that 1 month severance.
wow.
The new year came in February we was rolling.
So talk to me about those few months leading into the launch of the reading room. What were some of those actual steps that you took? Obviously, you launched the website.
Yep.
I know the story, but like talk to me
Yeah.
about what you were thinking about, what was realistic for such a short, because November to February is not a lot of time.
Right.
And by the way, it's the end of the year. So
Totally.
you're exhausted. You
Absolutely.
want to wind down and like
Yeah.
spend time with your friends and your family, your loved ones, and you're over here launching a whole reference library.
Yeah. Well, one, I was really motivated by the fact that I had decided I'm not going back to another job, right? Part
And
of
and talk to me about that piece too, but and
yeah.
I don't want to gloss over that because I think a lot of the times we do this thing where we have one foot in, one foot out,
Hmm.
and the universe, God, all of the energies around you knows that and feels
Yeah.
that,
They
right?
said
So
no.
it'll put you in situations where for some of us you get let go or you get fired. For some of us, like the door that you were walking through for however long decides to close randomly on a Tuesday. But
Hmm.
I do think there's something to be said about deciding like this is the thing, and it isn't to say that if some pieces aren't working, I'm not a smart enough business person to pivot pieces of it. But I'm
Yeah.
not. There's no like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go back to working at X, Y, and Z. So talk to me about like that mindset of deciding that you're not going back to
Yeah.
your job.
It kind of echoes what you brought up earlier about making the decision to like looking out at the landscape and trying to figure out what's there and what's not there, right? And so I made the decision early on that I would have to contribute something special to my hometown because it didn't exist. I was trying to create the space that I wanted to spend time in, trying to create a space that I can invite people to when they came to visit me in Houston. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the place that they needed to check in with, they needed to visit, needed to make sure they stopped by because there was going to be somebody else there that they connect with, or there was going to be something that they came across to inspire them. So
Yeah.
that was it. And I knew that it wasn't going to happen unless I made it happen, right? And so I couldn't give my time, I couldn't give my energy to another corporation
Yeah.
that didn't really care, that thought that what I wanted to do on my own was in conflict with what they wanted to do when they were two completely different things. The common denominator is that it just took my time and attention. I was more passionate about something else.
Right.
And so, you know, I made the decision in 2021 that when this was over, I'm doing my own thing because I needed to get out of I needed to give my body a rest. I need to give my mind a rest. So
Yes.
that time that I was planning to stop working at that job in February 23, I was supposed to take 6 months to myself to just figure out what it is that I needed to do to make the reading room happen and to allow myself the freedom to wake up every single day and decide how my day was going to go instead of logging onto a Zoom call immediately, checking emails,
Oh
writing
my
articles,
God.
whatever the fuck else. And so in November, I made it through. I got through my grief of being let go. My ego recovered. And I finished the last physical therapy of the year in December. That was such an affirmation because I was in
Mm.
real conflict with the venue that I had the party at before. And so to come back bigger and better post Spotify,
How
it was
big was that December party? About how many people?
500 people.
I love that.
It's jumping every single time. We got to put the
Uh,
lid on it every single time.
I love it.
Um, it was I finished that and I was like, okay, now it's time to focus. So I started to identify what books I had already in the collection and figure out what gaps I needed to fill. If people were showing up to this space and they wanted to learn something about Black art, what are the texts that need to be in here? And so I
Yeah.
began to source, research, and purchase those things. I scanned the front and back covers of all the books to catalog everything like a real librarian now.
Hello.
Okay. And I built a website to be a reference point because I didn't have a physical space initially. I wanted the concept to be clear
Yeah.
to whoever engaged with it, and I wanted it to be relevant to people who didn't live in Houston. So the website was, the entry point. You could log on if you were looking for a gift recommendation for one of your artsy friends. You could like click through the categories and see something. Um, and a month after we launched the website in February, I did a 2-day pop up where we had our first in person experience, brought the books into a space, invited people to come and check out the collection. We did a film screening to end that 2-day experience. And somebody came up to me and was like, I didn't even know this many books on Black art existed.
Hmm.
And I said, you know what? That's why I'm
I
here.
got you.
That's it. Don't
Absolutely.
worry. There's so many more.
Yes.
Um, it was the biggest affirmation. So I'm thankful that I had the advanced planning, right? Like winter 2021, I came up with the name. I found some fonts. I found the colors. I bought one
And
single
all
book.
the design work, all the web work, all the things, it's just you.
Yeah, yeah.
Of
It's me.
course.
It's me.
Of course.
I'm whenever I say we, I'm manifesting a
Yes.
team.
I love
I'm
that.
manifesting.
That eats
So I'm
so
saying
bad.
our we because it really is like it's not done completely
Yes.
alone, but I am, the first and last line of defense on all the
Yeah.
decision making, creative director, founder, fundraiser, social media
Curator.
person,
Yes.
comms director, sending the
Yep.
email blast. I'm the programming director. I'm
Yep.
the tech, the AV, the cleanup crew, you name it. I'm doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's the timeline from so February we launched the website.
Yeah.
When did we get into Sandman Studios officially?
Yeah.
Obviously we did the pop-up a month
Mhm.
after, right? So March is when the first pop-up happened. When did you go full IRL?
Yeah. So I had a couple stops along the way. After that initial pop up in March 2023, I got an invitation from the Contemporary Arts Museum here in Houston to bring the reading room to this place in downtown Houston called the Post, and it used to be the city's central post office location, huge warehouse where the mail would go in and out every day for the entire city. It was redesigned as a cultural hub. So there's like a rooftop garden and a food court and all of these different smaller warehouse pockets where businesses kind of take over. And so I was there for 8 months, which was pretty good, I would say. After having launched something, it brought a lot of initial visibility and interest because there was so much foot traffic. So we had a little over 10,000 people come through the space, and somebody
Wow.
was there counting every single day.
Wow.
When that experience ended, that partnership came to a close in March 2024. I took a month off and I moved into Sandman full time in 2024, April 2024. It wasn't planned to stay there the whole time. because I was coming out of that partnership with the CAM, I was really weary about authorship. It felt, it worked out that I had partnered with such a big institution that early on, but I was
Yeah.
running into like authorship issues, right? Some
Were
people would
people when they
always,
were coming into the space thinking that it was theirs and not yours? Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so I just wanted to be really mindful of that. Um, and I was also like, I really want my own thing. I want my own
Yeah.
space. I need my own space. And so even going into Sandman, I was like, I won't be here long, just 6 weeks. And 6 weeks turned into the past 2 years.
Wow.
And it's been so lovely to be there because the area has changed so much. I get to interact with the type of people that I want to serve with the library because they frequent the area. It's accessible, by train, by bus, by plane, whatever. However you need to find your way there, you can get there. And it's small, it's charming. I am starting to grow out of it.
I've been there, guys, and it's such a beautiful space.
Cute. I'm so
So
proud.
cute.
So proud.
So
I literally
cute.
could die tomorrow and I feel like I did everything I wanted to do with it.
Man,
Yeah.
that's a blessing. I kind of want to dive into your programming a little bit. I know that the programs that you build in the space are inspired by the works in your collection. Talk to me about what goes into building out the programming and how you get people there,
Hmm.
how you fund it. Are you
Yes.
doing all the things yourself? Like, talk to me about the process of building out those programs.
Yeah. I am funding things myself. I've gotten some support from my city through artist grants. So
And how are you finding out about these artist grants? You're just literally Googling.
I'm Googling shit
Grant.
all the time. I'm
Love.
Googling stuff. I'm like reading the DMs if people see something that pops up on social and they send it to me, and I'm bookmarking it and circling back the following week to apply to it if I have time for sure.
Fire.
But most of it had been me funding it with DJ money.
And I before you, I want to pause right there. At this time, how long have you been doing the reading room? Is it 2 years?
We just
Three?
hit 3 years
Wow.
at the end of February this year.
And prior to doing the reading room, I'm sure the majority of your audiences know you as a DJ.
Yeah.
How did you navigate kind of that repositioning to make sure that,
Mm,
yeah, I know I'm a DJ, but
yeah.
I'm not, that's not where my focus is. That's not where the work is. The reading room, the reading room, the reading room. How did you kind of manage that rebrand really and truly?
For sure. I started the process really early to try to pivot people in their interests, the folks that were coming to PT because they were curious about me and who would show up to my other sets. I would be yelling over the speakers.
I'm
I'm
starting
starting
a
a
library.
library. I'm starting a library. I'm starting a library. They'd be like, huh? What you
Like,
mean?
girl,
Like,
you don't play that DJ screw right now and leave us alone.
right. Like we trying to shake some ass, actually. Yeah, we don't know what you talking about. But I'd be yelling, I'd be telling whoever I could pin down for 5 minutes, I'd be talking about the reading room. So I was my own street team before I even signaled the pivot visually. Um, and I started slowly but surely, feeding all things reading room into PT's atmosphere to some degree, like reposting some of the things and inviting people to come to the programs, come to the pop up. It was a little difficult because even today, people still come to me and they see me and they recognize me from physical therapy and they're like, when is PT coming back?
Yeah.
And I'm
And
like,
what
you
is
know
your
what?
response?
I'd be
Hmm.
like, I didn't know y'all loved it that much. Or I'll be like, which is a total lie. Or I'll be like, what is it about PT? I want people to really think critically, right? That's what we do at
Yeah.
the reading room. What is it about PT that you feel like you're not getting from all of these other parties that exist right now? Why PT? Is it like the fear of missing it? Is it the
Yeah.
frenzy around it? What was it that was so special that you are begging me years later to come back and do that when they don't have any clue how much it took to actually put those events on? as
Man,
thoughtfully and carefully and generously as I
yes.
showed up in that space. And so, yeah, it was difficult. I think I was like posting less and less of my, party flyers. I stopped posting the PT flyers at some point on my personal page, and I was
Mm.
only
They
starting
just
to
lived
share.
on the physical therapy page.
Right. It only needs to live.
Wow.
It's That's that. I took
That's
it out of
over
my
there.
bio,
Wow.
right? So if you're coming
Smart
to
though.
me, you're not seeing it. You're only seeing the reading room.
And were you
Um,
not taking other gigs at this point?
I still was,
Yeah.
but far less
Yeah.
because I had my own, all of those gigs, I had to get that, through PT. So
Yeah.
I was in a position, thankfully, to say no to a lot of stuff. And so the kind of scarcity and rarity around, one of my sets I was able to leverage that to
Yeah.
build the interest. And when people would say like, "What is the reading room?" I'm like, it's PT, but if it was like stretched out over the course of a day instead of 4 hours, like the same kind of
Mm.
feeling.
Repositioning your or
Yeah,
recontextualizing the thing that they knew you for through this
100%.
new lens. That's
Yeah, I'm
very
like,
smart.
what you love about this is not
It's
actually
still
the party.
here.
It's
Yes.
the
Yes.
community, it's the gathering, it's the pride, right?
Yeah.
It's the safety. So
It's a
take that.
regionality as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take that and stretch it over the course of like a full day, but it's quiet.
Yeah.
Now you're at the reading room. You can
Love
still
that.
have all of that. Your
Yes.
dreams will still come true. You
Yes.
can be fulfilled, but just not in this. It's not going to happen in 4 hours.
Yeah. Okay. I needed to pause and walk through that because I do think that there's a lot of creative people who are listening to this episode or watching this episode or seeing a clip and thinking about, pivoting out of the space that they're currently in into a
Mhm.
new space. And how do you get people to see you as this new thing when they know you as this old thing? And I think something to take away from what you said is like you kind of have to do it, right?
Yeah.
If you decide that like you're no longer a DJ, you are now a curator of this thing, you have to kind of stop posting DJ stuff and you have to take less and less of that DJ work and maybe lose some of the money. You're going to have to introduce yourself as a curator even if the thing it doesn't exist anymore or
Yeah.
yet rather, you're going to have to start introducing yourself to people as that thing and
Mhm.
not being afraid that people aren't going to care because they're so invested into who you were because at some point they didn't care about what you as a DJ and
Yeah.
then you got them to care. So it's the same muscle. Okay, so back to the programming. So obviously you're funding all the programming work yourself. It's
Mhm.
inspired by works that are in the collection. Talk to me about the process of building those programs out.
Yeah. Everything is, I'd say it started with wanting to generate a sense of nostalgia, thinking about what it felt like to sit on the floor in your kindergarten class when story time was coming up, or when you did show and tell. So some of the programs I kind of draw from those feelings. Um, we do film screenings, we do listening sessions. I'm interested in how not only art and literature interact, but how what they teach us and tell us about culture, what those books tell us about culture overall. And so, to sit and listen to Pimp a Butterfly, that's a
Mm,
text, right? The album
yes.
itself is a text.
Put
And you
some
can,
respect on Mr. Lamar's name. That's why that man got that Pulitzer,
hello,
baby.
hello,
Yeah.
like that's the one that should have won the award.
Sure. Absolutely.
You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? And so I wanting to kind of get people to think critically about the material that they have access to is always the motivation. And so it'll start with the book, or it'll start with an album, or it'll start with a film, and we
Mm,
sort of just draw out all of these other references. Every single program is discursive, so I'm really interested in people talking to one another and sharing their thoughts and ideas. That was the one thing that I feel like helped me become confident in my own thinking, was right in college when we would sit and we would have discussions. You go in there, you did the reading, and you sit and you talk about the reading.
yes.
That's it. That's what we did in school. So it feels like this is the space where that can happen. And there's so many brilliant people. We don't give, I mean, people are really dumb, but there are a lot of
Hello.
brilliant people
We
who
can
just
end
need
there.
space to kind of think through what they're
Yeah.
feeling, right? And to be
And
in
in real
community.
life, by the way, like it's
Flow.
important to emphasize that your programs are not virtual ones. They're ones in which
Yes,
people come physically in the space and
absolutely.
interact and exchange ideas and thoughts in
Yes.
person.
So it's the reading room has been described as a site for intellectual gathering
Mm,
and radical hospitality. So
mm.
the things that I did with PT in terms of like making sure people feel comfortable and welcome and warm when they come through the door and when they leave, that same ethos I think informs the work that I do with the reading room. It's hand in hand.
Yeah.
And so all the programs, they're exciting and they change and they vary. Like there are certain pillars, right? Like there's a million films that we can screen. There's a million albums that we can listen to or artists that we can invite that'll talk about their sonic etymology and inspiration.
Come on,
There's a bunch
etymology.
of different books that we can read and close read together. But everything feels different.
Yes.
Everything feels different and it's exciting. And I think people kind of anticipate wanting to come into the space because they're going to walk away with something new.
What
At least I hope.
is one takeaway you want people to have after having left a program or just having left the space?
Mm-hmm. It's so hard. There's so many things.
Tell me all the things. Tell me
There's
all of
so
them.
many things. I want people to feel seen. I want people to feel inspired. And I know this is kind of generic, but truly, 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 I want people to feel informed.
Mm, that's important.
I want people to do that, like frown up and turn your head to the side a little bit because some dot just connected in your mind about some, like if you open up one of the books and you see a painting by Carrie James Marshall of like your grandmother's living room, it reminds you of the living room that you spent your whole childhood in or something like that. I want those connections to be made.
Yes.
Um, I want people to be able to have new language to describe the world around them and to understand themselves and each other by learning through the work of Black artists and Black, writers, cultural figures, Black theorists. Um, yeah, I want people to feel proud. I want people to feel proud. I want people to feel held. I want them to feel,
Mm,
you know what I mean? I want
yeah.
them to feel safe. I want them to want to come back because there's something there that's going to make them giddy. I want people
Yes.
to feel giddy.
Oh, bring
Where is
back
the
Giddy.
whimsy at? Where is the
We stressed out, girl. Ain't
I
nobody
want,
want to try to be whimsy no more.
I want people to feel giddy. I want them to
I
feel
want you to just come in there,
excited.
click your heels.
You
Yeah.
know? That's what I
I
want.
love that. That's so important. I think something about this space that I loved as someone who has physically been in this space, had the honor of being in this space, is that I love this idea that you're talking about connecting the dots. And I think that's why libraries are so important and reference libraries are so important because a lot of the books and the works that you have in this space are expensive, right?
Yeah.
Art books are notoriously 50 plus dollars. So if you have an art book in your home, it's likely that you have one, two, maybe three. It's very rare that you see a lot of people with an extensive library of art books specifically. And I love this idea that you can open up book A and then see a name or a reference in book A and be like, oh, there's the book on the shelf. Let me grab that and see how that person has informed this person's art.
Yeah.
And oh, okay, cool. Like that's maybe making me think about something else. And to your point, the ability to come in the space and learn in that way is very important, specifically with art and specifically with Black art, because it's such a robust space. And we know all the names that people know, right? We know the Basquiat's and we know those big heavy hitters. And I think you do a great job of curating a library of books with artists and works by artists, not just books, but works by artists that maybe people are not familiar, but also having some of those ones where people are like, oh yeah, I know Arthur Java. Like, yeah, okay, cool. Like I've heard of that name before. Maybe I've seen that in a footnote of a Jill Scott interview or something. Let me actually take the time to sit and read. So I think that's very important.
Yeah.
What are some books that we should be reading?
Mm. This is my trifecta right now. Number
Yes,
one,
because the girls are not reading.
they're
I
not.
want you to know the literacy rates are down bad. Me and Fran was just having this conversation. I saw a video on TikTok today, actually right before this call. The kids don't know how to read. And I'm talking about high
Terrifying,
schoolers. And if they know how to read, they don't have any context to what it is that they're reading.
right?
So please help us.
We are
Amari, help us.
past days, my friend. I'm not gonna lie. But these books have been a bomb for me. Okay, so Sasha Bonet, Sasha Bonet, The Water Bearers. It's a memoir that she wrote, and it got published last September. There's also Black and Blues by Imani Perry, which is about the color blue in relationship to Black history and culture. It is one of the most engaging history books that I've ever read. She writes it
Wow.
so poetically and so beautifully. And I think it's a wonderful study. Like if you're interested in history and art and culture, that's a book to read. And then I have to give an art historical text. Black Artists in Their Own Words. This is a book by Lisa Farrington. It's also sort of recently published, and it's a compilation of letters, diary entries, emails, essays written by Black artists over time. So it's about a 200-year like span.
Whoa.
And it's them like who were the people during the Harlem Renaissance writing to each other? Who were the like, abstract expressionist artists that people don't really know? And like, what was the beef? Like, what was their experience trying to get into museums? All of these texts in this book that she compiled are written by the makers themselves. So I think
Wow.
if you're interested in like Black art history, it's a great text.
That's the one. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's one artist, could be music, could be fine art, just any artist that you're excited by right now?
Oh my gosh. Music.
Could be
Gina.
old, could be new.
I love Gina. I love
She
Gina.
is so
I
cool.
just saw them
In
in
that album,
yeah. Who's got a problem with Gina? They need to come back so I can get up there with them. Shoot.
I'm screaming. I'm screaming.
Nah.
That is a duo right there.
Good. I definitely have run that album many times. I listen to it a few times a week on my walks. And in visual artists, he's not new. He's not new, but every single time I crack open one of these books or see an image on the internet, I'm in awe. Kerry James Marshall. He's the master.
And sometimes people are known because they're that good.
It tracks.
He's just that good.
He's that good. He's not problematic. Yeah. He's not nothing like, oh, I love him. Yes. I love him. I love him. He minds his business and he paints his paintings. That's what he goes on.
Hello. We need more of that. We need more of that.
People.
I'm screaming. For those who have never been to Houston, what should they do? Where should they go? Talk to me a little bit about your city. Phenomenal city. Great food.
I mean, if you've never been to Houston, it's time to come. No more excuses. When you get here, first of all, you need to land at Hobby. You need to land at Hobby Airport. Okay? Travis Scott said it. You ain't seen the city unless you land at Hobby. Okay? The planes come in, they circle around the skyline. You get the full experience. You ride through the south side to get to wherever you need to go. Okay? So flying to Hobby, that's that. Once you get into the city, make your way downtown. Come to the reading room. Okay?
First stop, off the plane.
I'll be there to hug you and get you oriented.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Fun fact, the last time I went to Houston, Amari was able to get me a guy to come to my hotel room and make me a grill before I went to the club. Hello?
It's true. Hospitality, okay?
That is Southern hospitality, okay?
We pride ourselves on that, all right? You got to stop by the reading room. You'll see Sandman Studios. You'll see Buried Seeds. That's my man's wine bar, period.
Yeah.
You got to come get you some wine. You got to make sure you tap in. You got to go to the Manil if you want to see art. You got to go to chopping block. If you want a good plate of food, you gotta go to Boo's Burgers. You gotta. I mean, there's so many restaurants, but if you come to the reading room first,
That's all you need to do.
I'll send you
You'll
on
get
your.
right. You'll get
Let me know
right.
what you're into, and I'll send you wherever you need to go. What kind
And
of
that's a
music
fact.
you like, I'll send you there. What kind of food you like, I'll send you there. You know, it's like the tourist stop, like the info
100%.
stand. They
100%. Stop at the reading room and you'll be right. You'll be good to go.
You'll be good to go. You'll be good to go.
Before I send you on your lovely merry way, what is some advice you have for creative thinkers and doers that are listening to this episode, watching this episode, and want to start something, but they're afraid? They don't know how to start it. They don't know if they can start it. They
Mhm.
don't know if people will care. What is some advice as someone who has started a thing and maintained a thing over the course of an extended period of time?
Yeah.
What is some advice you would give them?
There are two pieces of advice that I would give someone who's looking to start their thing. The first piece is advice that my aunt gave to me when I was starting to create the reading room and I was feeling really overwhelmed by the timeline, by the magnitude. She told me, build it slow, build it to last. And every single time I start getting work up, I think about that advice and it helps me readjust my pace and it helps me make decisions for the long term, right? I'm building something that I want to outlive me, something that I want to be a permanent fixture in my city. And so, how can I move at a pace that allows me to feel confident in those decisions? The other thing that I feel like is advice, but also a reminder or a prompt is do whatever it takes to calm your mind so that you understand the difference between fear and intuition. You know what I mean? Like your gut could be telling you something doesn't make sense, but you might mistake it for fear. You might do it anyway, right? Or vice versa. And so, yeah, whatever you need to do, if you need to meditate, go work out, smoke some, whatever you need to do, there is a difference between fear and intuition. And harnessing that, I think, is what keeps me stable. It's what keeps me steady and committed, devoted to my practice.
That's awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you is not even a sufficient enough thing to say, but I'm gonna say it because the English language is limiting, and that's all I got. Thank you
Thank you.
for showing up, for doing your work, because you showing up and doing your work opens up a portal for someone else to then do the same. And I hope that at least one person who is listening, watching this episode, takes something away from this and tell the people where they can find you on all the interweb things if they want to learn a little bit more about you or the reading room.
Yeah. Well, first of all, shout out to art school, shout out to work study. Big up, okay, for having me on
Woo-hoo.
here. If you are interested in my work, you can find me at thereadingroom.htx on Instagram or on the interwebs, thereadingroomhtx.org. My personal page is Amarie Simone, Amarie Cemone. I'm gonna be on there for real, but I'll be on there. You can
Perfect.
find me on there.
This has been another episode of the work study. You see, you got me stumbling on my words now. This is another episode of Work Study, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, not next week, y'all. You see, because I was trying to do that weekly shit, and baby girl got a real job. I can't be doing this every week, but I'm gonna see you in 2 weeks with another amazing talent that I hope you'll take some gems away from as well. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.